This clothesline in Long Island, New York was the US government's first ever system for transmitting top secret data. It was the Revolutionary War, and the Americans needed a way to get information from New York City to George Washington's headquarters in Morristown, New Jersey without the British intercepting it. So they wrote down 763 words, assigned each a number between 1 and 763, and bada bing bada boom, you've got the worst cipher in military history. But whatever, people's brains were too riddled with dysentery or something, and somehow this seemed to do the trick. These encrypted letters would travel along this route from New York City to here in Setauket, where they would be stashed in one of 5 locations. A local woman, Anna Strong, would then hang up a black petticoat on her clothesline to signal to nearby ships that the letter was ready to be picked up, with between 1 and 5 white handkerchiefs to indicate which location the letter was hidden in. From there, the letter would then be secretly picked up and make the rest of the journey to Morristown. Unfortunately, we're no longer allowed to distribute information about British warships, and the US Department of Defense has since updated its methods for securely transmitting government secrets. Today, the US uses 3 different networks, each designed for different levels of classification, to send sensitive data across the globe. Here's how they work. The first and least secure of the 3 is called NIPRNET, the Non-Classified Internet Protocol Router Network. Basically, NIPRNET is a private interconnected network of government computers that is attached through secure gateways to the rest of the internet. Technically, you could access it using the same connection you're using to watch this video, but you probably wouldn't get very far. Think of it like a gated community. It might be connected to the wider system of roads, but if you go there without the right credentials, you'll wind up in prison or shot. You can't access NIPRNET unless you're part of a government agency or approved government contractor that's given you access, but it's used pretty widely and isn't monitored too closely. None of the data on NIPRNET is technically classified. It's just stuff that the government doesn't want floating around in public. Data like tax records, internal schedules, or these photos of Obama paddleboarding. For data that's actually classified and not just too titillating for public consumption, the Department of Defense uses a network called SIPRNET, or the Secure Internet Protocol Router Network. This is the network that deals with any information that's been labeled confidential or secret, the first 2 levels of DoD classification. Examples of confidential or secret information might be, say, lists of war reserves, scientific studies relevant to military tech, information about enemy weaknesses. This video of 2 US Apache helicopters firing on civilians that got leaked when SIPRNET was compromised in 2010. Oh, whoops, how did that get in there? Oh well, you get the idea. This network, unlike NIPRNET, is completely disconnected from the rest of the internet and only connects government computers to one another. It does this with a fairly standard method of data transfer called packet switching, where a message is split up into pieces, all of which take different routes along the network before reaching their destination. Now, keeping all the classified data contained within this network separate and unsullied by the evils of public internet is more complicated than just isolating the network itself. You also need to isolate every single device that has ever touched the network. If you connect your computer to SIPRNET, it is permanently considered classified at the secret level. That means it can only be used or stored in locations that have been approved by the government to have secret level data in plain sight. Anything that's ever been plugged into that computer is now also considered classified. Technically, if you plug this USB rock into SIPRNET, the Department of Defense would be bound by federal law to protect its secrecy forever. But despite all those headaches, SIPRNET is not even the government's most secure network. No, that would be the Joint Worldwide Intelligence Communication System, a network used to transmit top secret data. For some reason, the government has been a little vague about exactly how this network works, but on a technical level, it functions pretty similarly to SIPRNET. Data is transmitted via satellite across a closed network of government computers with the ability to denote which packets of data are most sensitive. Those then take the fastest and most secure route through the network, so they spend the least amount of time flying through space where anyone could nab them with a really tiny butterfly net. Any data on JWICS can only be stored or accessed in highly specialized rooms called sensitive compartmented information facilities. There are quite a few of these around the globe. They can be as small as a closet or as large as an office building, but some notable examples would be the Situation Room in the White House or the cabin of Air Force One. In order to keep the top secret data contained within JWICS both top and secret, these rooms have some very specific technical requirements that you would think would be kept under wraps, but are actually all written out in excruciating detail in this seemingly not very top secret document. Since publicizing this is apparently not considered a national security risk, here's exactly how these facilities are constructed. Standard SEIF walls are composed of 5/8 inch gypsum wallboard, buffered by 3.5 inches of sound attenuated material and sealed with acoustic sealant to ensure that the secrets don't slip through the cracks. Each perimeter wall is installed with radio frequency protection, as well as optional speakers that play vibrations louder than any conversations being held inside the room. Wood doors need to follow these specifications, steel doors need to follow these specifications, windows are a bad idea, monitors must be faced away from the doorways, and no one from any country we've recently pissed off is allowed to build any of this. So that's how you keep top secret secret. Or you could just use a clothesline because nobody cracked that either.